The views and opinions expressed on this channel are solely those of the host and guest and are intended for entertainment and discussion purposes only. This channel does not promote bias, hatred, or discrimination of any kind. All questions posed and thoughts shared are part of a critical thinking exercise and are not meant to offend or judge any individual or group. We encourage respectful dialogue and love for all. Please remember to think critically and engage thoughtfully. We aim to foster a positive and inclusive community where everyone feels welcome. Thank you for being a part of Risky Behavior Ent.
Risky behavior. Risky behavior.
Hello, how y'all doing? Welcome back to Risky Behavior Ent. I'm your humble host, Mr. Diabolical himself. Today's title is Unprotected, 10 Recent Child Abuse and Trafficking Cases You Need to Know, 2025. Now, I got a quick question for you. What happens when the people and the systems meant to protect children failed them? I want you to stay with me. I got 10 cases from 2025 that will shock you and demand action.
Risky behavior.
Now, for today, this channel, I'm going to dig into some past headlines to expose the systems that let harm happen, to children, people that deserve our protection, people that did not ask to be here, and it is our responsibility as a society to protect them. And today I'm pulling back the curtain on a pattern that has gone just too long ignored. Like I say all the time, crimes against children get swept under the rug, and especially it seems like the older they get, like especially when they're teenagers, they really sweep it under the rug a lot of times because it's like, well, they're almost an adult, and I don't know if the news and the media, they just only want these certain, it seems like they want these certain things on the news that fearmonger, that create panic. And so they push more so stories that are geared towards some political agenda. That's just my opinion. And I don't think these crimes against children, I don't think it has the same effect of what they're trying to do right now on the political side. And so I think that these stories don't get as much of a spotlight on them as they should, right? So in this episode, we're going to walk through 10 recent cases from 2025 from trusted adults who abuse their power to online networks that prey on teens. And what I'm going to do is show how children are often the least protected members of our communities. My goal isn't to sensationalize, it's to raise public awareness, push accountability, and spotlight what real prevention and survivor support should look like. Now, if you care about protecting kids, hit that subscribe button. Share this video. Use this video to start a conversation with someone in your life and spread awareness. Don't forget to thumbs up the content. And me and you, we can push towards change together. Now, first up, we have Aaron Jacob Jake Bunch, and you will see him on your screen. Now, Aaron Jacob Jake Bunch was a former school resource officer in the Aurora area. Now, he was arrested on federal charges after investigators say he used his position of trust to exploit minors and possessed and distributed child sexual abuse material. The allegations span years and involve digital grooming and trafficking of illicit material, prompting an FBI probe and calls for review of school oversight policies. All right, I want to go through the article. Now, the title of this article is FBI seeking potential victims of Aurora SRO supervisor, which is, school resource officer, accused of sexual exploitation of a child. The FBI alleges that Sergeant Aaron Jacob Jake Bunch may have sought out minor victims while serving in a position of trust from 2005 to October of 2025. That is a lot of years to go through. That's crazy. Now, Denver. The FBI field office in Denver is looking for potential victims of an Aurora school resource officer, SRO supervisor, accused of sexual exploitation of a child. Aurora Police Sergeant Aaron Jacob Jake Bunch, age 47, was arrested on October the 8th and charged with sexual exploitation of a child. That is self-published. Sexual exploitation of a child, possession, and sexual exploitation of a child video. Wow. And so that is, I believe what they're talking about is CSAM, which is sexual CSAM is child sexual abuse material. And that's what it is called. No longer, look, always use CSAM, child sexual abuse material. Don't call it that other word that rhymes with corn, because children cannot consent to that. That is something that adults only can consent to. Now, Bunch served as an SRO supervisor in multiple schools in Aurora. According to the FBI, the agency alleges that Bunch may have sought out minor victims while serving in a position of trust from 2005 to October 2025. At the time of his arrest, the Aurora Police Department said there was no evidence that any students or children within Aurora Public Schools, the Cherry Creek School District, or the overall Aurora community were impacted or victimized. The FBI is asking potential victims or anyone with information relevant to the investigation to fill out this form. And so they got a link there for people to click. But, in its release, the FBI said it is legally mandated to identify victims of federal crimes and I apologize. Is mandated to identify victims of federal crimes it investigates. Victims may be eligible for certain services, restitution, and rights under the law, according to the agency. Victims' identities will be kept confidential during the investigation, and investigators may reach out for additional information. In a statement following Bunch's arrest, Aurora Police Chief Todd Chamberlain called this a sad and angering day and said the case will be investigated thoroughly. This is more of a quote from him. This is a sad and angering day for the Aurora Police Department and the community we serve. The allegations against this individual are disturbing and completely contrary to the values and missions of this department. This person has brought shame and disgrace to the badge and to an honorable profession. Such behavior undermines the trust and legitimacy that our officers work hard to earn every single day. I want to make it absolutely clear. These actions will never be tolerated. This case will be investigated thoroughly, and the individual will be held accountable through both the criminal justice system and our internal process. Says here that Bunch has been placed on unpaid administrative leave. The FBI is handling the criminal investigation while Aurora PD is conducting an administrative investigation to address policy and conduct violations. I ain't mad at that unpaid administrative leave. And so just from this article alone, it would appear that he was caught with material in his possession with intent to sell, publish, the exploitation of, possession of it. And given his position, they want to make sure that he was not able to victimize anybody through his position. So they're reaching out. Sometimes people stay quiet, because especially, people don't want to tell on victims don't want to tell on just regular everyday people with no power. Imagine being a victim of somebody with this perceived power, their officer. So, all right. Next up, I have a video.
Breaking new details right now. A sergeant in the Aurora Police Department has been arrested by the FBI on charges related to the online sexual exploitation of a child. Sergeant Aaron Bunch has been taken into custody for allegedly exchanging child exploitation material over the internet. Bunch was hired by Aurora Police in 2005 and served as a school resource officer supervisor, but was not assigned to any specific school. We're also told there is no evidence indicating any students or children within Aurora or Cherry Creek are victims. Aurora Police Chief Todd Chamberlain says the allegations are, quote, disturbing and completely contrary to the values and mission of this department. Chamberlain went on to say that the officer's actions have, quote, brought shame and disgrace to the badge.
Now, what we learned from this Aaron Jake Bunch story is that when trusted adults in schools abuse authority, prevention requires stronger hiring oversight, routine audits of officer conduct, and transparent reporting channels for students and staff. Okay. Now, next up, number 2 is Operation Soteria Shield out of North Texas. Now, Operation Soteria Shield was an FBI-led multi-agency operation in North Texas that resulted in hundreds of arrests and the rescue of more than 100 children from trafficking and exploitation. Investigators targeted online enticement networks and trafficking rings, executing coordinated arrests across jurisdictions and obtaining evidence of organized exploitation. Oh man, look at your screen. That's how many people were involved in this. That's how many. Okay. Operation Soteria Shield 2025. Wow. Look at all this. They were able to get 109 children were rescued. Look at all, you can't even count all these pictures. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I ain't counting all that. It gives the answer right here anyway. I wanted to throw some little lighthearted, in there for a minute, but it's 244 men and women were charged with exploiting children for the purpose of sex trafficking or pornography, or what I would call or what the FBI calls child sexual abuse material. But yeah, this is all these people, and it's insane. Like, it makes your brain explode when you think that at this point in time, you have 244 men and women agreeing to participate in the exploitation of children. At one time, that many people could be participating in this. That's just crazy to me.
Authorities are calling it a successful roundup of alleged child sex offenders, but it also shows how widespread that crime is in North Texas. The Dallas FBI office, along with some of the 70 law enforcement agencies that all participated, announced the results of what they called Operation Soteria Shield. Here's our J.D. Miles.
These are the faces of the 244 men and women charged with exploiting children for the purpose of sex trafficking or pornography. It's the end of a month-long investigation by federal and local law enforcement of a crime that authorities say is a year-round problem.
The numbers of offenders arrested and the children rescued in this operation are stunning. It's stunning to hear them repeated here.
109 children were rescued by Operation Soteria Shield, which began in April.
During this operation, many of the children recognized or rescued were previously unidentified. They had never been reported missing. They had never had their abuse known to authorities.
The operation not only led to arrests and rescues, but also to the seizure of terabytes of child abuse sex material through a collaborative effort that started 10 years ago and now includes 70 Texas law enforcement agencies.
What started as a small team with a bold idea has grown into something very powerful.
In a lot of these cases, authorities say the sex offenders never actually meet their victims face to face, but instead use technology to coerce them into sending explicit images and videos. The head of the Dallas FBI office says the methods used are not just involving social media, but also online gaming systems.
So I think for many of us, I'll speak for my generation, we were raised to be concerned about faceless strangers that might try to contact us or cause us harm on the street. But we've moved past that. Again, predators have access to our children in our home through technology.
Authorities urge families to use parental controls on any devices kids use and be aware there are more faces like these still out there. In Dallas, J.D. Miles, CBS News, Texas.
You know, it's sad that when they said that a lot of these children were not even reported missing, and that's just diabolical. Like, there's children out there that nobody cares enough about to report missing. They don't even know these children exist until they do operations like this and find them. And to take this child, and you think like, oh man, I rescued this child and I'm sure their family's looking for them, and then you turn around and nobody's looking for them. Nobody even bothered to report them missing. And that's just sad and heartbreaking to me. Okay, so this article says 109 children rescued, 244 arrested in Operation Soteria Shield, exposing widespread child exploitation in North Texas. I remember listening to a conversation. I cannot remember what podcast I was listening to, but I remember, and don't bet the bank on me, but I remember someone saying that Texas has the most registered sex offenders. I remember somebody saying that. But I don't know if that's 100% true, because when you're on YouTube surfing the internet, sometimes you go down these rabbit holes and you might be looking at a video that's from a year ago and not even notice. So, but you know, authorities call it a successful roundup of child sex offenders, but it also shows how widespread the crime is in North Texas. The Dallas FBI office and some of the 70 law enforcement agencies that participated announced the results of Operation Soteria Shield on Tuesday. These are the faces of the 244 men and women charged with exploiting children for the purpose of sex trafficking or pornography. Okay. That's the face again. Yeah. And so here you get the pictures of the 244 men and women that participated in this. And here, you have all the badges of the departments. I believe they said over like 17 different departments over, they say 17 or 70. 70. I'm sorry. Why I say 17? It's 70 law enforcement agencies that operate now. I said 17. Then I looked, I said, hold on, that's more than 17 badges, but it's 70. It's the end of a month-long investigation by federal and local enforcement of a crime that authorities say is a year-round problem. The number of offenders arrested and the children rescued in this operation are stunning, said Jay Combs, the U.S. Attorney, East District of Texas. It's stunning to hear them repeated here. Operation Soterial Shield, which began in April, led to the rescue of 109 children. Now, during this operation, many of the children recognized or rescued were previously unidentified, said Plano Police Department Assistant Chief Dan Curtis. They'd never been reported missing. They had never had their abuse known to authorities. The operation not only led to arrests and rescues, but also to the seizure of terabytes of child abuse sex material through a collaborative effort that started 10 years ago and now includes 70 Texas law enforcement agencies. What started as a small team with a bold idea has grown into something very powerful, said Greg Willis, the Collin County District Attorney. In a lot of these cases, authorities said the sex offenders were never actually meet their victims face to face, but use technology to coerce them into sending explicit images and videos. The head of the Dallas FBI office said the methods used don't just involve social media, but also online gaming systems. So I think for many of us, I'll speak for my generation, we were raised to be concerned about faceless strangers that might try to contact us or cause harm on the street, but we've moved past that, said Joseph Rothrock, the Dallas FBI special agent in charge. Again, predators have access to our children in our home through technology. Authorities urge families to use parental controls on any devices children use and be aware that there are many faces like these still out there. He is so correct, and it's scary when you think about that. Even when I grew up, I remember like when dial-up came and stuff. But he is correct. People who would not normally have access to you now have access to you. That private life that used to exist is no more. Unless you are someone, because you have people that live off the grid or, behind a safety net. But a lot of us, we enjoy the convenience of the internet, the convenience of technology. And we can be naive as people. I think we all can. We can be naive and not think about the fact that there are people out there that are watching that you don't think are watching, So when you post, oh, I'm over here, I ate there, or this is my location, or you putting up pictures of you and your children on the internet. I've seen multiple men get arrested for just taking images of children, and they would, take their face and put them on another body and create AI videos, so that's how dangerous it has gotten with technology. And we're all just going to have to be more self-aware of what we post, what our children post, what we do, and how we interact with people online. Because one thing online gaming got you, it's like you said, faceless, we say faceless strangers. The internet got us used to faceless strangers. So it lowered that wall of suspicion, and the internet put you in contact with people you don't know. And so if you notice, people are just more comfortable around people they don't know. They are more trusting. And so it's easier for these predators because they're not in a world currently they're not in a world currently where the guard is up on a lot of people. That guard has been lowered because of the internet and technology, and everybody feels like everybody's their friend. This person follows me on Instagram or TikTok and stuff, and people feel like they're actually friends with people that they have never actually met. All right, I have another article here. Well, another clip. Oh, this is the video that we just looked at.
But it also shows how widespread that crime is. Authorities are calling it a successful roundup of alleged child sex offenders. But it also shows how widespread that crime is in North Texas. The Dallas FBI office, along with some of the 70 law enforcement agencies that all participated, announced the results of what they called Operation Soteria Shield. Here's our JD Miles.
Okay, I will not make you sit through that video again. Oh my goodness. This case was just it's scary to me, man. When they do these sting operations, they had one that they did in Florida that was scary. And remember in what was that one called? It was called Operation F Around and Find Out, and they were arresting some of everybody. They had a guy that was a pro football player that was arrested in that sting operation in Florida, and he even got in trouble because he brought his son that was nonverbal autistic son with him to visit an escort. Literally, he was arrested for going to see an escort in a sting operation, and he had brought his child with him, and they had. And let me tell you something: when you look at these pictures of people, these are not just people that live on the streets. Like in the Florida sting operation, you had lawyers, you had doctors, you had a dentist, and it could be anybody. It ain't just people living on the streets on drugs. And these are people that you see in your day-to-day life when you see these sting operations. All right. So I think with this cases like this shows us is that, large scale sting operations are effective at rescue and disruption, but sustainable reduction of exploitation needs community prevention, platform accountability, and survivor-centered aftercare. Well, next up is Operation Restore Justice. This is number 3. I don't know if earlier I remembered to say the numbers. I just know I had 10 different cases that I wanted to go over and bring awareness to that happened this year. And I don't know if I remember to say the number, but the current number that we're on is number 3. Okay, so that's what we're on currently. And so, like I was saying, next up is Operation Restore Justice, nationwide FBI sweep. Now, during a coordinated 5-day nationwide FBI operation, authorities arrested over 200 suspected child predators and reported rescuing more than 100 children targeted through online enticement, abuse, and trafficking schemes. The sweep involved multiple field offices and relied on digital forensics to identify offenders and victims. Now, here we have an article. Justice Department announces results of Operation Restore Justice. 205 children. Why I say? What the hell? My bad, y'all. My phone ringing, throwing me off. 205 child sex abuse offenders arrested in FBI-led nationwide crackdown, including 7 in the Western District of Michigan. Now, this here says May 7, 2025. Today, the Department of Justice announced the results of Operation Restore Justice, a coordinated enforcement effort to identify, track, and arrest child sex predators. The operation resulted in the rescue of 115 children and the arrest of 205 child sex abuse offenders in the nationwide crackdown. The coordinated effort was executed over the course of 5 days by all 55 FBI field offices, the Child Exploitation and Obscenity section in the Department's Criminal Defense and United States Attorney's offices around the country. The Department of Justice will never stop fighting to protect victims, especially child victims, and we will not rest until we hunt down, arrest, and prosecute every child predator who preys on the most vulnerable among us, said Attorney General Pamela Bondi. That's how I guess she would say it, like Bondi. I am grateful to the FBI and their state and local partners for their incredible work in Operation Restore Justice and have directed my prosecutors not to negotiate. Here's another quote. Every child deserves to grow up free from fear and exploitation, and the FBI will continue to be relentless in our pursuit of those who exploit the most vulnerable among us, said FBI Director Kash Patel. Operation Restore Justice proves that no predator is out of reach and no child will be forgotten. By leveraging the strength of our field offices and our federal, state, and local partners, we're sending a clear message. There is no place to hide for those who prey on children. Acting U.S. Attorney Andrew Berg advised that with this operation, we are amplifying the message that the department is fully committed to securing justice for the most innocent of victims, children in our communities. Operation Restore Justice highlights the importance of collaboration among federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies, said Chevalier. Ooh, that name kicking my behind. I don't know how to say that. Gibson, special agent in charge of the FBI Detroit field office. The members of the FBI Grand Rapids Web Checks Task Force and the Lansing Resident Agency appreciate the vital support from our partners, including the Michigan State Police, Kent County Sheriff's Office, Ottawa County Sheriff's Office, Newaygo County Sheriff's Office, North Shores Police Department, Grand Rapids Police Department, Lansing Police Department, and the Muskegon County Prosecutor's Office. This coordinated effort led to numerous arrests across Western Michigan and in Arkansas and Tennessee, with crucial assistance from the FBI Little Rock, Texarkana Resident Agency, and Nashville, Knoxville Resident Agency field offices. Operation Restore Justice demonstrates our shared commitment to public safety in Michigan and throughout the United States. All right. Now, here I want to skip down here. It says in Western District of Michigan, 7 individuals were arrested and charged with federal crimes. Christian Vanderveen of Comstock Park. I don't even want to say why I got a problem with that name. Paul Masco of Grand Haven, Terry Hopkins of Muskegon Heights, Martell Scott Ware of Grand Rapids, Chantel Blackmon of Arkadelphia, Arkansas, Joseph Brandon of Knoxville, Tennessee, and George Edward LeBaron of Eggleston Township. Oh my God. I don't even want to get into why these names bother me. Okay. Here it says Christian, age 24, of Comstock Park, was charged by a complaint with sexual exploitation of a child, according to court documents. Verdevine repeatedly requested sexual explicit images from a minor who was under the age of 13. Evidence obtained from his cell phone revealed the sexual explicit media, as well as Verdevine's request. In an interview with law enforcement, Verdevine admitted to his conduct. If convicted, he could face a mandatory minimum penalty of 15 years in prison and a maximum of 30 years. Okay. You know what? For time purposes, I'm not going to go through all of this. Just not going to. Okay.
Well, tonight, the FBI says it is making progress in its nationwide effort to crack down on child predators. The agency says it has made more than 200 arrests as part of Operation Restore Justice.
Attorney General Pam Bondi says the action should serve as a warning to anyone preying on children. She also spoke about the impact online predators have on youth mental health.
I always say it's from instant message to instant nightmare. Parents, they're talking to your kids like they're other children, and they're not. They're predators. They pose as children. They get them sometimes to post explicit pictures of themselves after they talk to them. And then in some cases, they even try to blackmail the children. The suicide rate among teens ages 14 to 17 has increased as a result of this as well.
Well, these most recent arrests were made over 5 days through a joint effort between federal, state, and local partners.
Well, tonight, the FBI says it is making progress in its nationwide effort to crack down on.
And they are so correct. That's what made the internet such a dangerous place. And I think AI is going to make it even easier, man. They got AI out there that look like and talk like, move like real people. It is getting better. Remember before when everybody was looking at when we would be looking at the AI, like, you know, people post them YouTube shorts and be like, oh man, that's AI. You know, you could tell that gorilla got got 3 arms, not, you know, when they supposed to have 2 or 1 arm higher than, you know, it just looked weird, right? And we could just call it out. But now the AI is, man, it's getting better. I'm telling you, it's getting better. Well, shout out to the FBI for doing their jobs, right? My final thoughts on that one is just federal coordination multiplies local capacity, but must be paired with stronger digital safety education for young people and quicker channels for reporting suspicious online activity. I mean, they always talking about adding all these other things to the children education. And that's why I say we have to bring awareness to these things, because they skip over these stories. Like, these are big operations that are happening that they happen all the time. People just don't talk about them at all. And so when they talk about, oh, what we need to add this to the education system, and I'm not gonna go into it because this video ain't about it, but there's a lot of times people want to add things to the education system. This is most definitely something that needs to be added in. It should be mandatory at this point where we're heading. We need to have children. Need to have mandatory, like, just coding, understanding the internet, AI, just all that. The word that we're moving towards, it should be mandatory at this point. Now, number 4 on the list, we're going to be talking about the Florida daycare abuse. Okay, Florida daycare abuse. Go ahead and pull this up. Switch my screen. Boom. This one is going to be surveillance and witness reports reveal physical abuse of infants at an Ocala daycare, leading to the arrest of an employee accused of violently handling multiple babies. The footage and subsequent investigation also raised questions about management's responsiveness to early complaints. I already know. And this is number 4 on the list. And I already know that this is going to make my blood boil. I already know.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Deanne King here, and in tomorrow's traffic tonight of Columbus Drive.
Oh, you know what? No worries. I got the video. I had the video up there, and we about to get some traffic that's outdated. Okay. Florida daycare worker accused of abusing 6 babies. Now, a Florida daycare worker was arrested Monday after detectives said she abused 6 babies at the facility. Ocala police officers said they were called to the All-Star Learning Academy on Silver Springs Boulevard on Monday after child abuse allegations were made against 33-year-old Carla Gonzalez. I'm not going to try to say that extra name. Okay. Detectives said they uncovered several incidents spanning from March to July involving the alleged mistreatment of 6 infants between the ages of 4 and 9 months old. According to an arrest affidavit, a video showed Gonzalez violently bouncing a baby in a bouncer. Wow. What is up with people that want to hurt baby, man? A baby's so innocent, and stuff. Like, you gotta be an evil person, man. If you hurt a baby, if you hurt, my bad, my alarm going off. If you hurt a baby, like little puppies, shit like that, you just a sick ass person to me. Like, you just evil. Like, it's a demon inside of you. I don't even try to understand why you did it. Like, when people like, I wonder why this person did, I don't be worrying about why they did it. I just think because they demon. You don't ask why a demon do what a demon do. It did it because it's a demon. Now, this action was violent enough, it could have caused severe injury or death by shaken baby syndrome, the report said. In another incident, the affidavit said Gonzalez was sitting in a rocking chair when the child came up to her to be picked up. Gonzalez allegedly told the child to leave her alone and shoved her off of her onto the floor. Another worker checked on the child to make sure she was okay. The report said the worker told officers that she reported the incident to management, but did not see anything come of her report. And see, that's what I'm saying. I can't even work around people like that, bro. Like, where the real people at? That would have been shut down that day if I seen you doing something like that to a kid. Yeah, we both got to go home early. Investigators said Gonzalez was involved in several other instances of physical harm, including rough handling, force feeding, violent shaking, and near suffocation. According to police, the incidents were reported to supervisors, but no appropriate action was taken to address the allegations in a timely manner. And see, here's the thing. The workers and you have these other people saying they reported this to supervisors, but no appropriate action was taken to address allegations in a timely manner. Let me tell you something. Gonzalez got arrested, but the people that, oh, you told who you tell? Oh, they ain't do nothing about it. Okay. And I'm up there. I'm not telling nobody what to do. I'm just merely saying we as a people have to stop letting people think they can just do what they want to do with no consequence. And we got to go cry and beg for the police to arrest you. I'm sorry, those days are over with. But for this woman, this is ridiculous what they're posting. I don't know, man. Yo, I have crashed out over less. I don't know how there's nobody crashing out on these people. I be seeing these people get arrested all the time from these daycares, and there's no bruises on them, and the parents are just outside talking to the news camera all politely. And I'm just like, this is crazy to me. I've seen people get killed arguing about parking spaces, and these predators and demons, like, nothing happens to them. Like, I apologize. Again, I'm not telling nobody to be violent. I'm just saying it is shocking to me that I don't see the reaction I think I'm going to see, because I see people reacting to the pettiest of shit. I'm not telling nobody to go do nothing to nobody. That ain't what I'm saying. I'm just surprised. That's all. Gonzalez was taken into custody and charged with 8 counts of child abuse and resisting arrest, according to court records. Officers said Gonzalez had worked at the daycare since July 2024. The Department of Children and Families was contacted and required remedial training for the daycare staff, police said. Investigators said they believe there could be more victims and asked the public to come forward if they had witnessed any related incidents. These babies are too young to speak for themselves, and your voice is essential in protecting them, police said in a Facebook post. Anyone with information about incidents, you're encouraged to reach out and call detectives at 352-369-7000. That's 352-369-7000. Our hearts go out to these little babies and their families as we continue investigating to ensure justice and accountability, the police department said. And I would say that this daycare does not need training at all. If it is true what they said, where these things were reported and nothing, they shut down. That's what I'm saying. Like, what's with these other chances? If you're saying this is a place where, hold on, because what they just put it there, physical harm, including rough handling, forced feeding, violent shaking, and near suffocation. Hell no, you get training for that. If that's been reported and they did nothing about it, because people are saying, well, we reported it to supervisors, but no appropriate action was taken. No, shut down immediately. I don't hear nothing about no training. And if it was proven that it was reported and you did nothing about it, I think you should get charged and arrested. That's what I think. Charged and arrested. And I wouldn't know how they would stay in business anyway, because me and all the other parents would band together and sue your monkey ass. You ain't about to be in business no more at all. We gonna all band together. I don't care if we gotta add people on there that wasn't abused, and it's so many of us on the list that after we get done suing you, when we split the money, it's so many of us, each of us only get $20. I do not give a damn, but you're not staying in business because I don't give a damn about the money. We're gonna take it from you though. Or we take it from you after we sue you, and we just open our own daycare for our community, and we implement changes that we want to see to protect children, because we don't want nobody to go through what we went through dealing with you.
An employee at a Ocala daycare facility arrested after reports of infant abuse. An investigation revealed the incidents occurred from March through July of this year. Those incidents involving 6 infants ages between 4 months to 9 months old, according to investigators. The incidents were reported to supervisors but were not addressed in a, quote, timely manner. The suspect now faces multiple charges of child abuse without great bodily harm. Ocala police said their investigation is ongoing.
I don't get that. Is that supposed to be her? She ain't even big. Look at this. This is her that they're arresting, right?
According to investors.
Yeah, that's her. I'm thinking she's some big top diesel woman that maybe the other employees scared of. You know, like don't tell her she gonna beat me up after work, right? This little old thing, come on, it no excuse to not approach her and stop her from beating up a kid. Now, come on, I mean, there's no excuse for anybody, but I could understand if it was some big old girl that used to do wrestling in high school. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're afraid to say something to her. But I just don't understand why this little lady, everybody would be afraid of her unless she really gangster like that or something. I don't know. Beyond me. Oh my God. Final thoughts on number 4 is I think protecting nonverbal victims requires mandatory camera policies. Rigorous licensing inspections and swift action on caregiver complaints. And I am definitely like, I know, for instance, right? Sometimes, like with let's use truck driving, right? You have safety cameras in the truck, mandatory, because of the insurance company. But guess what? The camera is an outward camera and it's an inward camera. So it's recording at the same time. You driving down the street and then you behind the wheel. They have an outside company that monitors the camera. And so when I say protecting nonverbal victims requires mandatory camera policies, that's what I mean. You ain't gonna watch your own cameras. It should be a requirement that you have to pay for a service that monitors you. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like, think about that, y'all. In these schools, or in these schools and dealing with your children, you have an outside system that records everything, even if they did not catch it when it happened. When you find out, there's a system in place that at least has it recorded, where the people who you are accusing of a crime can't go back and delete it or say they don't have it. But I don't think, I no longer think surveillance should be in their hands, because they've proven that they cannot be trusted. All right. So also, guys, please thumbs up the video. Show your support as we move on, because we're about to go into number 5 right now. All right. Number 5 is Texas mother charged with neglect. This is out of Baytown. Authorities arrested a Baytown mother after her young autistic son was found living in severe neglect with malnutrition, untreated medical issues, and unsanitary conditions. The case exposed gaps in social services follow-up and raised concerns about how families with special needs children are monitored. Okay. Let's go into this article, and this, of course, is the woman right here. This article is titled "Cop Nearly Threw Up After Finding 11-year-old Autistic Boy Weighing Just 46 Pounds Living in Squalor in Texas Home." So it's another Texas story. A Texas mother is now facing charges after authorities. Let me blow that up a little bit. My apologies. A Texas mother is facing charges after authorities said they found her 11-year-old son living in squalid conditions after suffering from malnutrition. Rachel Blaylock, age 41, was arrested on October the 7th after a Baytown Police Department officer responded to a welfare check and found her 11-year-old son with dried feces all over his body. Man, that's just sad right there. including on his arms, face, and hands, according to Harris County court documents obtained by Fox 26 Houston. The officer reported that the smell in the home, which was also covered in dried fecal matter, was so bad she nearly threw up. Blaylock's 11-year-old son has autism and is nonverbal. Fox 26 Houston reports medical records included in the court documents state his teeth were also decaying because of malnutrition, and neglect. He also weighed just 46 pounds, while the average boy of his age weighs 88 pounds, the records said. When the officer said the 11-year-old needed to be taken to the hospital, Blaylock allegedly responded, "I just can't drop everything I'm effing doing and take him to the hospital so a quack-A doctor can say, oh, I don't know what's wrong with him, so we can go see another one." Oh my gosh. Blaylock has been charged with injury to a child with serious bodily injury. Her bond was set to $250,000, and her next court appearance is set for November the 18th, according to public court records. Blaylock told the Baytown police officer her son had trouble using the bathroom and would instead use it in his room. According to the documents obtained by Fox 26 Houston, in his bedroom, Blaylock removed the door and installed a screen door, which she kept locked so she could keep an eye on her son, the document said. The officer reported seeing fecal matter around the bedroom and on the screen door. The mattress was also described as filthy in court records. The officer also reportedly spoke with the child's grandmother, who said the boy didn't get baths regularly and never went to school because he wasn't potty trained and often took his clothes off. Wow. The grandmother allegedly told the officer she usually couldn't unlock the screen door, so couldn't bring him food during the day. The document states. She also said Blaylock is not a good mom. Court documents state. Okay, that is it on that article. Very sad, very disturbing. It's just disgusting that you would treat any. That's not even okay. That people wouldn't even treat an animal like that.
Tonight, a Baytown mother's accused of locking up her son with autism and forcing him to live in a room filled with his own feces. Good evening. I'm Eric Barajas.
And I'm Gina Gaston. Court records show she is charged with injury to a child as well as possession of meth. ABC 13's Maya Shea is live at the Harris County Jail with these disturbing allegations.
Yeah, it's truly horrific. The little boy in question, just 11 years old, and records say he couldn't talk or fend for himself. When police came and scooped him up in May and took him to the hospital, records show he didn't even weigh quite 50 pounds.
And you're charged with the first-degree felony offense of injury to a child and the state jail felony offense of possession of controlled substance.
Rachel Blaylock stood in the back of the hearing room last week during an initial court appearance where prosecutors read aloud some truly horrific allegations of abuse on her own son.
It's alleged in that case that the defendant starved the child, made the child live in a feces-filled room, locked away.
Nobody answered the door today at this mobile home in Baytown, where investigators allege Blaylock subjected her 11-year-old son to inhumane living conditions. Court records show even though other family members also lived in the home, the boy was kept in a separate room, which mostly remained locked. Unable to talk or use the potty, he was left on a feces-covered mattress. Police say when they arrived for a welfare check in May, the boy had dried, caked-on feces all over his body, including his ears and mouth, and that's not all.
It's alleged the complainant's teeth were found to be rotten and the complainant was covered in filth.
Records show the boy was taken to a local hospital where doctors diagnosed him with autism, found him malnourished with visible signs of abuse. CPS took him into foster care as the investigation continued. When authorities were able to arrest Blaylock last week, they said she had a cylindrical container with her, which she said contained her baby daddy's ashes. And it wasn't her baby daddy's ashes. It was crystal meth, said court documents. And that's why, in addition to abuse charges, she's now also facing a drug charge. So Blaylock is in the Harris County Jail tonight, where she's been for a couple of days on these two charges. We tried contacting her attorney several times. She did not return our calls. We're live downtown. Maya Shea, ABC 13, Eyewitness News.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, and it's not to give that lady no excuses, but sometimes you get these cases and you can tell that mental illness runs in the family. I'm gonna say it like that. I think this case is what it shows is that better coordination between schools, health providers, and child welfare agencies is essential to identify and protect vulnerable children before crisis escalate. And so when people say, "Oh, well, I'm against government. I want less government involvement," you out your mind. Are you aware of what's going on? Seriously? What's going on in our world? I'm sorry, we're past that point where people can just be good people and police themselves. Yeah. Nah. Because less government involvement, less systems in place means that children like that child we were just talking about, they definitely go unnoticed. It's already really no involvement. You have people that child services, like, come on, it's been so many cases this year alone of children's services failing, people reporting children being abused and them being underpaid, overworked, not having enough manpower to even cover all the cases. So I mean, there ain't hardly no involvement of the government anyway. And you see how things are going. And if anybody that says they want to get rid of it all the way, gotta be insane. All right. Moving right along. Up next is number 6. I believe that's the number we're on. Number 6. Number 6 is Alabama pilot grooming minors. Okay. And let's see. Bring up my article. Excuse me, I apologize, man. I'm coughing all in the mic. Alabama pilot grooming minors. A commercial pilot in Alabama was charged with grooming minors through social media, allegedly using his travel privileges to arrange in-person meetings across state lines. The investigation highlighted how access and perceived status can be weaponized to normalize illicit contact with minors. Okay. And I also want to present this, show these articles. Let me see. Well, I ain't gonna read all of it anyway, so I'm gonna continue reading after. Anywho, Alabama House proposes bill banning children from using social media. Okay, so because things like what we've been talking about today is going on, you got and this was posted back in February. Alabama House proposes bill banning children from using social media. A bill has been introduced in the Alabama House of Representatives that would prevent children 16 and younger from creating social media accounts. HB 235 will require social media platforms to implement an age verification process. The bill was sponsored by Republican David Faulkner and co-sponsored by 3 other representatives. Let me see. Did I say Republican? I think I meant to say Representative Dave Faulkner. I just had a brain freeze. That's why I paused for a minute. I think that I saw him. My bad. The requirements would take effect January the 1st, 2026. The Attorney General of Alabama would be responsible for enforcing the act with up to $50,000 penalty on social media sites for each violation. Alabama Senator Katie Britt has proposed her own legislation at the federal level banning children 13 and under from social media. Titled the Kids Off Social Media Act, the bill would also prevent social media companies from using algorithms to recommend content to children 17 and under. I wonder how they would like catch these people. How would age? I don't think they've worked out age verification when it comes to the internet very well. But I'm not against it. I am not against it. But I'm just going over this to because it goes along, with the title, what people are proposing and trying to do.
State new law will go into effect soon, making grooming of a child a criminal offense. Lawmakers say this legislation is a proactive measure to protect children before an inappropriate relationship goes too far. WDAM7's Raven Little breaks it all down for us.
What is child grooming? It's a pattern of conduct or a series of messages that a reasonable adult can look at and say, wait a minute, this is not just your normal, typical teacher student messaging back and forth. And what is the state doing to address it? The whole repetitive sending of suggestive messages, which clearly was meaning to lead to an inappropriate encounter or sexual relationship between the two, was not against the law in Mississippi. That's why we now have what we call the child grooming bills. House Bill 1308 will go into effect on July 1st, making child grooming a felony offense. The Mississippi Attorney General's office requested this law after seeing several cases where teachers and coaches had exchanged inappropriate messages with children but didn't necessarily break the law. So it's for only 15-year-olds or under, and the person sending the messages, the coach or the teacher, whoever it is, has to be over 20, so 21 or older, except in certain instances where that person's in a position of authority, so like a youth pastor or a minister of some sort. They can be as young as 18 and still be subject to this child grooming legislation. Senator Fillingane says in an effort to protect our children, legislators also had to think about who is considered a child and what healthy rapport between a child and an adult looks like. And that's the reason we moved the original language that was of a higher age down to only under 16, because we didn't want to ever get into the situation where college kids and their coaches, that may have some banter back and forth that might be a little more aggressive than you would have for 15-year-olds. We didn't want to capture those people. Fillingane says the language of House Bill 1308 is specifically written to protect a vulnerable population of Mississippians, not to be used for entrapment. This is only actual live instances of where an adult that's 21 or older is sending very suggestive sexual messages to children that are 15 or younger. And it has to be a repeated pattern of conduct, not just a one-off. Raven Little, WDAM7 on your side.
Under the law, those found guilty do not have to register as a sex offender since no physical action was done.
Okay. That's not a bad thing. I like it because what they say, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. And so I'm not against that at all. And I think it's fair as well, because like they say, you ain't got to register as no sex offender, but you got to have a penalty. I don't know how much time they would give them. I can't recall if they said it or not, but definitely that's a good thing, because when these people go to try to get jobs later on, background check, you can't work with our kids. You got grooming on your record. Right? So that's a good idea. And like the guy said, it's just constant behavior. So you can't try to act like, it was a one-off. No, the law says that you had to been doing this constantly for you to get discharged, sir. So no, you're not welcome to work here with our children at all. Now the case that we just went over was about industry screening and platform safety measures must work together to limit opportunities for adults with mobility and status to exploit minors. And that's why we had both those articles and the video that we showed. Okay. Up next, number 7 is Chicago school counselor arrested. Number 7, almost done. A Chicago educator and youth program staffer was arrested for possession and distribution of the word that rhymes with corn, but I say CSAM, child sexual abuse material, and accused of exchanging explicit material with students. The case revealed prior complaints that were reportedly not acted upon and prompted district level investigations into reporting practices. Okay. CPS teacher charged with possessing and distributing child, I don't like that word. It's CSAM, child sexual abuse material. Now, Jason P. Woodsley, age 27, allegedly shared images of child, last fall with another individual on Telegram. Federal officials say Woodsley is an elementary teacher and a staff member at the Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestra. Man, this stuff just crazy, man. The people that work with the kids, man, be down there and they be freaking predators, man. A Chicago public school teacher has been accused of possessing and distributing CSAM. Federal officials announced Friday. Jaron P. Woodsley. I keep having a brain fart. Did I say Jason earlier? I think I did. I think I said his name all wrong. Or at least I need to get some new glasses. Jaron P. Woodsley, age 27, is charged with receiving and distributing child sexual abuse material, allegedly sharing images of this material, and I apologize for coughing, last fall with another individual on Telegram, according to the statement from the U.S. Attorney Office in Chicago. Woodsley of Chicago was arrested Friday morning and was scheduled to appear for a hearing at 2 p.m. before U.S. Magistrate Judge Maria Valdez. Using Telegram, Woodsley distributed at least 13 videos and received 6 videos from the other individual who was indicted by a federal grand jury in Colorado last year, the statement said. Between September 20th and September 24th, 2024, Woodsley and the individual allegedly messaged each other over Telegram, according to a criminal complaint. According to the complaint, some of the alleged messages exchanged between the two said, "Got any boys? For you. How about you? Same. Want to trade?" Wow. You hear these perverts? That's how they talk to each other. They act as if they're trading baseball cards. That's how sick they are. Citing publicly available data, the complaint said that Woodsley is a Chicago public school teacher at elementary school and is also a staff member at the Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestra. As of March 31st, Woodsley was teaching at Robert Fulton Elementary School. That's in 5300 South Hermitage Avenue. According to the Chicago Public Schools website, his salary was listed as $68,529, the site said. On Friday, CPS issued a statement. Student safety is, and I mean, this is their quote, student safety is one of Chicago Public Schools' highest priorities. The district was notified Friday, August 1st, of charges involving CPS student Jaron Woodsley. Upon learning of the teacher's arrest, the district immediately removed this individual from their position, and the Office of Inspector General has opened an investigation. CPS will not hesitate to terminate an employee under established district policies and procedures. Of course, Chicago Youth Symphony made a statement. They said that his alleged behavior is abhorrent and vile and completely inconsistent with both CYSO policies and law. They be making statements without. They'll make a statement, but it seems just empty and hollow. So I just don't even really want to read it. Now here it says, if convicted, Woodsley faces a mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years in federal prison and a maximum of 20 years, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. I don't know. This might be one of them times they give somebody a deal, like they always damn do. You got them red-handed, and the prosecutor still going there. You want a deal? Ain't got to make no damn deal.
Yeah, well, Jaron Woodsley is accused of using the social media app Telegram to share and receive child pornography. The 27-year-old was arrested this morning, and he also faced a judge. The federal complaint says that Woodsley is a Chicago public school teacher and a staff member at the Chicago Youth Symphony, and a staff member, Chicago public school teacher, and says that.
And that's him. Look, boy, nobody beating me on these mug shots, bro. I'm telling you, when you see the mug shot, it make sense. The mug shot reveals. Look at the eyes. The mug shot reveals who these people really are. That's why when you see the mug shot, you think about how many times you see a mug shot. You're like, could nobody tell he was up to something?
Woodsley is a Chicago public school teacher and a staff member at the Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestra's old web pages from the CYSO listed him as the Steel Orchestra's assistant. Prosecutors accuse Woodsley of sharing videos of child pornography with other people another person, I should say, in Colorado, who has already been indicted in this same case. Investigators say Woodsley shared at least 13 videos and received 6 videos using Telegram. The federal complaint also details the explicit messages allegedly exchanged between Woodsley and the person in Colorado that investigators say began in September of 2024. If Woodsley is found guilty on these charges, he could face a maximum of 20 years behind bars. Now, we have reached out to CPS as well as the Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestras, but we have yet to hear back. Yeah, well, Jaron Woods.
Man, I'm telling you, these schools must eliminate bureaucratic friction that lets complaints languish. Survivors need immediate protections and independent review of allegations. And that goes back to what I was saying before when we was talking about more cameras in these daycares and these systems. And I don't want them watching themselves. I want an outside company. I want an outside company to do it. Okay. I don't want them watching themselves. I don't want them policing themselves. I remember I worked for a company and they used to do audits, like just random audits of the stores. The problem is they had this guy, he was always stealing out of the store. But guess who was doing the audits? The guy who was stealing out the store. Oh my God. Next up, number 8 is New York father convicted of child torture. A father in New York was convicted and sentenced for the prolonged torture and death of a 10-year-old in his care, with evidence showing repeated beatings, starvation, and isolation. The conviction followed multi-agency investigations that uncovered long-term abuse. Here goes an article published in this was published back in March. Man convicted in 2021 beating death of 10-year-old Harlem boy. Okay. I'm not gonna go too much into this article, but it says New York City man was convicted in the 2021 beaten death of his partner's 10-year-old son. Manhattan prosecutors announced Thursday. So this was not his child, it's somebody he was with, child. That's why you gotta be careful who you bring into your house and who you give authority over your children. Ryan Cato was found guilty of murder in the second degree by a jury that had been deliberating for about a day. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office said his trial in a Manhattan court had started in late January. Bragg said Cato tortured Aiden Wolf for months before beating him to death in a Harlem apartment. The evidence shown to the jury proved the utterly depraved nature of Aiden's murder, including extensive internal and external injuries that no one, let alone a child, should suffer, he said in a statement. Jessica Horani, Cato's public defender, said her client is disappointed in the verdict and will appeal. Who gives a damn if he... What the? That's the statement. We know he disappointed. Like, what are you talking about? You wasted. Oh my God. The death of Aiden Wolf is a tragedy, but a depraved indifference. But a depraved indifference murder conviction for Mr. Cato is not justice, she said in a statement. What the hell is she talking about? Is she on Earth with the rest of us making statements like that? Wolf was found lying unconscious and unresponsive in the living room on March 6, 2021. After police said Cato called 911, the boy later died at Harlem Hospital. At the time, police determined Wolf died of fatal child abuse syndrome and said his body had been covered with bruises, both old and recent. Boy, I tell you, man.
A Buncombe County jury has convicted a man of second-degree murder and felony child abuse. The judge sentenced Nicholas Stevenson to a minimum of 27 years in prison for the death of his 12-week-old daughter, Riley Stevenson. Prosecutors argued Stevenson was responsible for the infant's death, citing torture, abuse, neglect, and malnutrition. The case included testimony from the child's mother, Diabolical.
I think I pulled up the wrong video. Oh, well. Hey, look, this is another story of people hurting children. So, hey, I ain't mean to pull up this video, but might as well let it rock. This is going to be a bonus case.
A Buncombe County jury has convicted a man of second-degree murder and felony child abuse. The judge sentenced Nicholas Stevenson to a minimum of 27 years in prison for the death of his 12-week-old daughter, Riley Stevenson. Prosecutors argued Stevenson was responsible for the infant's death, citing torture, abuse, neglect, and malnutrition. The case included testimony from the child's mother, Deandra Farlow, who previously pleaded guilty to felony child abuse.
Hey, look, that one was a bonus. That wasn't the video that I was looking for. That was different from, but I'm glad I read the article anyway. So it's a good thing that I went ahead and read that article for number 8, the one that dealt with the father in New York. But see, man, people just out here hurting children, and that video was from a month ago. That I'm doing stories in 2025. I click on the video by mistake, and it just took me to a random video about somebody hurting a little innocent baby. Look, fatal abuse cases underscore the need for early detection by medical, educational, and social systems that interact with children regularly. Okay. We got to get better at detecting when kids need help. Like they say, if you see something, say something. Okay. So number 9 is California foster home scandal. It's out of Los Angeles County. Los Angeles County approved a multi-billion-dollar settlement for thousands of survivors of sexual abuse in foster care and juvenile facilities following revelations of systemic abuse and long-standing cover-ups. The settlement acknowledges institutional failures across decades. Okay. All right.
LA County is preparing to pay out a record.
My bad.
LA County is preparing to pay out a record $4 billion. It's to settle thousands of child sex abuse claims. The crimes allegedly happen inside county juvenile facilities and foster care homes over several decades. KCAL News political reporter Tom Wade is here. How this historic agreement was reached and what it means going forward, Tom.
Yeah, Pat, I mean, it's just hard to wrap your mind around how vulnerable these kids were in these facilities at a time when they needed help. And, you know.
And it got to this.
And it got to that, exactly. Yeah, the aftermath of this abuse scandal will last for decades. This settlement so massive, it rivals the payouts made by the Boy Scouts of America and the Catholic Church. LA County taxpayers will pay out $4 billion to help atone for alleged child sexual abuse crimes stretching back decades. The majority of claims included in the settlement involved alleged abuse that occurred in county probation department juvenile facilities, and specifically in the McLaren Children's Center in El Monte, which closed in 2003. Patrick McNicholas's law firm is representing 1,200 people in the case.
At this point in time, the purpose of the settlement was for restorative justice. What does that mean? That means obviously that there's compensation for each and every one of the victims who've been subjected to this horrific treatment and have lived with it for years and years.
McNicholas says his clients endured unimaginable abuse.
Abuse really includes anything and everything you can think of, including physical, emotional, and especially sexual abuse. So everything on that spectrum.
County supervisors will have to approve the settlement, which they are expected to do. The county CEO releasing a statement saying, on behalf of the county, I apologize wholeheartedly to everyone who was harmed by these reprehensible acts. As a result of the abuse claims, LA County overhauled how it responds to complaints with new oversight measures, including a countywide hotline for reporting child sexual abuse allegations against county employees and developing a system for expedited investigations and independent review by outside experts. But those changes cannot undo the past. The historic settlement will forever be a stain on LA County.
We're talking about a settlement that eclipses the settlement related to the Catholic Church's abuses. We're talking about a settlement that eclipses the Boy Scouts of America's abuses. We're talking about really a huge $4 billion settlement here that will impact the county's finances for years to come.
Yeah, and just for context on that, the county's entire budget for this year is nearly $50 billion. The settlement also has to be approved by a court. The costs will be paid through a combination of reserve funds, bonds, and cuts in department budgets. And the county saying this will last until 2051. Pat.
Thanks so much, Tom.
Oh man, 2051. The only thing that bothered me when I was listening to that was they said the taxpayer dollars. It's when I hear things like that, it's kind of like when police do something to somebody and then they sue the police department and it comes from the taxpayer dollars. I feel like the people that are victims are at that point suing themselves. You're paying yourself. Now I know somebody could technically say, well, nah, you know, I get what you're saying, bro, but it's really like you just getting your money back. Like I gave you money, you abused me, whatever, give me my money back. I'm just not convinced that these systems don't have their own money. Well, I guess I know they say we pay them. I'm saying I don't believe that. I think that's a hoax. And so that's why I think these things continue, because I don't think they give a damn. Because they like think about how easy it is for somebody that's just evil, right? To say, well, yeah, I'll abuse you, you'll sue me, and I'll just pay you with your money. Because I've convinced you that that's the only money there is, the money that you give me. And I don't believe that. And I know that sounds crazy. I can't prove it right now. That's cool. The people that understand what I'm saying are hearing the sound of my voice and they understand what I am saying. Okay, look, monetary settlements are an important step towards accountability. I'm not denying that, but systemic reform, survivor services, and transparent oversight are required to prevent recurrence. Okay. And we don't want them watching themselves. We need outside sources watching them. No longer should they be able to audit themselves. Like, that is just crazy to me. All right. All right, coming up, we just got done with number 9, which was the Los Angeles County, California foster home scandal. Next up, last but not least, we got number 10, which is the Georgia teen trafficking ring out of Roswell. There we go. You know what? I be hating, like, when I be trying to get something ready for y'all, like a video ready for y'all, and then it just start playing. I gotta try to hurry up and
2 young
mute it.
girls are now safe.
Told you. Okay. All right, let's get on into it. Last but definitely not least, this is number 10 on the list. And trust me, look, there is more cases. This just 10 for the day. You already know there's more cases. And in these 10 cases, think about this. This is only 10 things we've done today. And guess what? You including these trafficking rings, one of them said they saved, each of those trafficking rings said they saved over 100 children. Right? So out of these 10 cases, we talking about, I mean, the victim list is through the damn roof. Okay? Like, insane. The victim list is through the roof. Okay. My bad. I'm trying to make sure that the article is up on the screen. Good. Okay. So we got the Georgia teen trafficking ring out of Roswell. Law enforcement dismantled a trafficking ring in the Roswell area that used social media platforms to recruit and traffic minors across state lines. Multiple suspects were arrested after survivors escaped and provided key testimony, highlighting the intersection of platform abuse and local exploitation. All right. Now going over to the article, got a video here. I'm gonna go ahead and play the video. That way we can skim through the article.
And are in jail, and 2 sisters under the age of 16.
All right. Play.
Now a Channel 2 Action News exclusive. These 6 men are in jail, and 2 sisters age of 16 are safe after police rescued the girls from a human trafficking operation. Channel 2's Michael Seidon's live tonight in Roswell. Michael, investigators are praising a 911 caller for tipping them off.
Hey, Karen, how many times do we hear police say
If you see something, say something. That's exactly what happened in this particular case. As you mentioned, a 911 caller alerted police, and that's when they came out to this motel where at least a half dozen men, including 2 employees, are accused of being involved in human trafficking.
We have arrested 6 individuals on a combined total of 51 criminal charges, and additional arrests might be forthcoming.
It's the latest crackdown on human trafficking in Metro Atlanta. Roswell police arrested and charged 6 men. They're all accused of committing disgusting and disturbing acts against 2 sisters who are too young to even get their driver's licenses.
This investigation began in March of this year when our officers responded to a suspicious person call in an apartment complex. A 911 caller reported a young girl knocking on car windows asking for a ride. When our officers arrived, they learned that the girl and her sister, both juveniles under the age of 16, had recently run away from home in a nearby county.
Police say the 2 sisters went on Snapchat, where they met several men, including a guy who drove them to Douglasville, where he left them alone in a parking lot. Then police say the girls got back on the popular social media app and connected with 24-year-old David Rivera. He's accused of ordering an Uber that picked up the girls and took them to the Economy Hotel in Roswell, where police say several adults, including 2 motel employees, gave them drugs and alcohol and forced them to have sex with multiple men. This afternoon, I stopped by the motel off of Old Holcomb Bridge Road, where I tried to speak with the manager and the owners. But a front desk employee told me no one was available to answer my questions. Then she kicked me off the property. Tonight, the 2 sisters are safe, but with summer break just around the corner, police have this warning for parents.
Predators use these platforms to exploit, to identify, to groom victims. So we very strongly urge and encourage parents and guardians to take a very active participation in their children's online activity.
Tonight, Roswell police told me that over the last 3 years, the Economy Hotel accounts for 4% of all crimes against people and narcotics violations in the city. And this year alone, the number's already risen. So what is next for this motel? Is the city going to...
I was just about to say, I don't care where you at. Don't ain't nothing going on good at the Economy Hotel. What's the other one? They got the budget Inn. Like, yeah, none of these places, Economy Hotel, Budget Inn, like, do not stay at none of them places. Don't go to none of them places. If somebody say they want to meet you at one of them places, it's a hell no. We won't go.
To take action against it? Will the owners face any consequences? Well, I got a chance to catch up with the mayor of Roswell, and he'll answer those questions on Channel 2 Action News at 6. For now, we're live in Roswell. Michael Seiden, Channel 2 Action News.
Important reminder to stay out of your bubble, pay attention to what's happening, and if you see something, as you said, say something. Michael Seiden, thank you.
I'm telling you. 6 charge in connection to teen trafficking ring at Roswell motel. It ain't a hotel. Roswell police have arrested 6 people in connection with a juvenile trafficking ring that was operating out of the local motel. Officers rescued 2 sisters under the age of 16 whom they believed were human trafficking victims and have connected them with support services. In an exclusive interview with Channel 2's Michael Seiden, police released the suspects' names and confirmed the charges that they are facing. Stefan Abercrombie, age 34, was charged with contributing to the delinquency of a minor. They put ×2. Roy Daniel, age 47, charged with human trafficking, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, enticing a minor for indecent purposes, sodomy, aggravated sexual battery, child molestation, and statutory rape. So just this person got some horrible charges on there. Stefan Abercrombie seems like maybe they were just like a driver or something, I guess is why they charged to be something like contribute to delinquency, you know. Oh man, this Roy got person is, and this person's 47, about to be like in their 50s, and out here, they say with age come wisdom. It's so not true. It's so not true, especially when it comes to people out here trying to mess with children. You got Kyar Griffin, age 31, charged with human trafficking, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, enticing a child for indecent purposes, child molestation, and statutory rape. You got Terrence Parker, charged with child molestation, sexual battery, statutory rape, and sodomy. David Rivera, charged with human trafficking, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, enticing a child for indecent purposes, and false statements. You got Redomar Vieira, age 39, charged with human trafficking, enticing a child for indecent purposes, and child molestation. As of Thursday, all the suspects remained behind bars without bond. Roswell police responded around 6 a.m. on March 16 to reports of a suspicious person in the area of 100 Creekside Way. Police said the caller reported that a young girl was seen knocking on car windows and asking for a ride. When officers arrived, they found the girl and her sister. They learned that the girls had been reported as runaways out of Paulding County several days earlier. Police said investigators determined that the two sisters had met several men on Snapchat and eventually met up with one of the men who drove them to a parking lot in Douglasville where he abandoned them. Police say the girls got back on Snapchat and met David Rivera, who arranged an Uber to take them to the Economy Hotel in Roswell with a plan to sexually abuse them. It's unclear how long they were there, but police say several adults, including hotel employees, provided the two girls with drugs and alcohol and forced them to have sex with other people, investigators confirmed. And so that's basically everything that we heard into the video. So I won't read the well, I will read some of this again. In my community, we don't ignore it and we're going to eradicate it. Wilson said, if you're a business and you participate, a real estate owner, and you are participating in it, you're going to be shut down. And I agree with him with that, man. No more looking the other way and let things, these people get away with allowing things to happen on their property. And that's crazy to me. They're not held accountable for that. You're allowing things to happen on your property and not paying attention to it. So it says here, Seaton stopped by the Economy Hotel off of Old Holcomb Bridge Road and asked to speak with the owners about the allegations. Front desk employees said no one was available to answer any questions and kicked him off the property. All right. An email to Channel 2, the Roswell Police Department issued the following statement. The Roswell Police Department urges parents, guardians, and community members to remain vigilant about the dangers of human trafficking and the risks young people face online. Social media platforms like Snapchat can be exploited by predators to target vulnerable youth, often luring them into dangerous situations. We encourage open conversation about online safety, monitoring digital interactions, and teaching children to recognize warning signs of exploitation. By fostering awareness and proactive measures, we can help protect our youth from becoming victims of trafficking and ensure a safer community for all. So they're saying that Roswell police, they're saying the investigation, it remains ongoing and additional arrests and charges are possible. So anyone with additional information on this case is asked to contact the Roswell Police Department at 770-640-4100. Anonymous information can be provided through Crime Stoppers Atlanta at 404-577-8477 or online at www.stopcrimeatl.org.
Two young girls are now safe tonight after Roswell police say they were sex trafficked for days. 6 men are behind bars facing dozens of charges. Fox 5's Kim Leffler has more on how a community member helped bring those girls to safety.
Roswell police say they found the girls when someone noticed something was off and called 911.
These girls encountered a number of different adults. Only one of them said something.
These are the 6 men Roswell police say trafficked 2 sisters under the age of 16. Police say it all started on March 16th when someone called 911 about a suspicious person at an apartment complex.
The 911 caller reported that there was a young girl knocking on car windows asking for a ride.
When officers got on scene, they learned the sisters were runaways from Paulding County. Police say the girls connected with several men on Snapchat, one who took them to Douglasville and left them in a parking lot. That's when police say the girls connected with 24-year-old David Rivera through Snapchat, who ordered an Uber to bring them to the Economy Hotel in Roswell. That's where police say several adults, including employees, gave the girls drugs and alcohol and forced them to have sex with other people for days. Roswell police say the 6 men arrested face a collective total of 51 charges. Officials encourage parents to keep an eye on their kids' activity online and be on the lookout for anything that seems unusual.
There is a pervasive misunderstanding about what human trafficking tends to look like in the real world. It is very rarely that stranger in a van snatching somebody out of a parking lot, but much more commonly what we see in situations like this, where someone identifies a vulnerable person, gains their trust, and then utilizes that trust to exploit and abuse them.
If you see something that doesn't look right, call our police. Call 911.
Roswell Mayor Kurt Wilson says this recent case is a further example of the city's push to eliminate human trafficking in the area.
In the last 2.5 years, we have taken out 23 illegal, illicit spas that participated in basically prostitution, right? But of more significance to me, human trafficking.
We stopped by the hotel for a comment about what happened. The front desk employee says she wasn't aware of this incident, but she has seen some of the men on property. Now, Roswell police continue their investigation into this case with the possibility of more charges and arrests. In Roswell, Kim Luffler, Fox.
Yeah, that lady probably look that's normal there at the Economy Inn. I'm just being real with you. That's normal. Okay. Oh man, that about wraps it up. Oh my goodness. That's just sad to think what those little girls went through. That's how important home is, man, because the home is not right. You got teenagers, they run away. They're naive, they're not aware. They're not aware of the monsters that are out there, or they're in a state of desperation where they're running away from something, and somebody says, "Oh, I'll help you," and you're so desperate for help, you take it, and and unfortunately, you have people out there that are willing to, take advantage of people in those situations, right? So, If any one of these stories hits you, I encourage you to comment below which case moved you the most and what reform you think matters the most. So I look forward to hearing from you. I would say that these 10 cases are not isolated tragedies, but symptoms of a system that too often treats children as afterthoughts. From trusted adults abusing positions of authority to predators exploiting social platforms and gaps in oversight, the common thread is predictable failure, missed reports, weak institutional accountability, and a reactive rather than preventative approach to child safety. Turning outrage into reform means demanding transparent investigations, independent oversight of institutions that serve kids, and mandatory enforceable safety audits where children spend their days. Prevention requires reshaping incentives across multiple systems. Platforms must prioritize detection and swift action. Schools and care providers must adopt rigorous hiring, reporting, and monitoring practices, and social services need resources for proactive outreach to vulnerable families. Survivor-centered responses, trauma-informed care, legal support, and meaningful reparations must accompany investigation so healing is possible and repeat harm is less likely. If we want fewer headlines like these, public pressure, targeted legislations, and community vigilance have to replace complacency. Okay, because in many of these cases, I think people just being complacent. I think people sometimes with these kids, I just think people are simply not even looking or paying attention. You're so wrapped up in your own life that you don't even notice something's going on. Or people get that fear, like they're like, I don't want to get involved, man. But it's important to get involved. Anywho, man, I appreciate you all tuning in. Look, if you like the content, you like things like this, I do other videos and stuff. I think it's important to bring awareness. That's what I want to add to the world is awareness. Now, of course, later on, I am going to do some videos. I'm going to watch some debates. I might even talk about the Layla Ali and Clarissa Shields. Not that I like celebrity gossip, but I do want to talk about the effects of being an insecure person, because on Risky Behavior, I do talk about human behavior. But yeah, subscribe. Come check me out again. Thumbs up the video. Share it with a friend. I am going to holler at y'all later. Peace.
Risky